chasing money, I get a little tunnel vision, because I'm selling these drugs, and anytime I say I'm selling cards, I'm selling drugs. So that is drugs. It might look like cards, but it's drugs. So, just thought I'd give it a minute. Constitution. Yeah, we got 2 people here. The Constitution is bullshit. It's bullshit. And anybody that's in the Tartaria mindset should already sort of be here. You don't realize it, or you're not allowing yourself. But when you start talking about resets and all that shit, these Constitution 1776 and all that shit, I mean, maybe that's what the reset is. Maybe it is the whole founding of America, blah blah blah, maybe. But the idea of this, we have rights because this piece of paper written by our forefathers says so. The fact is, the majority of us wouldn't have rights by our forefathers' standards. Whether we're people of color, or we're women, or we're gay, or whatever it may be. Like, now is by far the best time to ever be alive for anybody other than straight white Christian males and Jews, maybe. But people just don't realize that. Like, I was watching this video, this body camera video. I like watching those things for some reason. And this one was about this shooting that took place in Las Vegas, where this dude been hanging out with his buddy all day, decided they got in a little bit of an argument, so the one dude pulls out a gun, puts it to his friend's head, and shoots him in the temple. Dude falls down dead. The casino takes quite a while to actually go into action, the police and all that. So the guy goes up to his hotel room, and then him and his girl, they leave. And they drive, and they eventually get caught a ways away. Once the security team finally decided to look at the security camera footage. But there was one part in the video where there's this dude in his room, and the cops come and they knock on the door, and he doesn't want to. He's like, I'm not opening the door. There's nobody in here, and I didn't do anything. Blah blah blah. And the cops are like, everybody in this hotel has let us in. Why do you got to be a problem? And the guy's like, 'cause I have rights. He's like, who's in there with you? It's me and my son. My son is in the shower. You're not coming in here while my son is in the shower. And they're like, sir, we need you, and blah blah blah. And the video pauses for a second, and it talks about, that as Americans, we are guaranteed Fourth Amendment rights. We are guaranteed, the Fourth Amendment protects us from unwarranted searches and seizures. So they can't just search us for no reason. They can't just pat you. Well, see, again, this is where it comes into to question, because they can do a quick pat down for officer safety. Or in this case, they were allowed to just go door to door and go into people's hotel rooms and all that other shit because of what's called extenuating circumstances. And it's that in itself where you go, okay, so at any point, the cops really can just go, oh, well, these are extenuating circumstances. There was this happening. There was that happening. We're searching for this, we're looking for that, and your rights go out the window. You don't have freedom of speech. Like you do until somebody gets upset about it. And then when somebody gets upset about the thing you said, well, because they're upset, you shouldn't say that thing. Of course, that doesn't work for someone like me. God damn it. I can't say that your dumb religion has me upset. I can't believe you have me so upset with your dumb religion. And then the religion gets stopped. you know, nobody will stop preaching their bullshit. I can't say every fucking single thing about Judaism and especially Israel is disgusting to me. I'm offended by it. I hate that fucking bullshit. That doesn't mean shit. That's just my fucking wrong opinion. But nobody cares how that affects me or how I feel in that. And I don't even know the Constitution. I don't even know what all the amendments are. I see a lot of those First Amendment auditors out there. And I respect the fuck out of those guys, man. You know, those guys are going up against the machine. The cops that can shoot them and be like, oh, well, we made a mistake, and the cops will get let off, no problem. You know, like those guys are heroes, especially the ones that do it by themselves. Fucking nutbags, dude. I'd be likely to do something like that if I knew I had a buddy with me or somebody, you know, to watch my back. So when those douchebags shut my shit off or do whatever, like people forgot about Sandra Bland. You remember Sandra Bland? Got pulled over for some bullshit and then was killed in prison. But then they went with the she killed herself narrative, and it was all just straight bullshit. But they got away with it. Then they produce a video months later, like, oh yeah, this is the video of her. It's months later, but yeah, who cares? But you know, I'm always like fascinated by those people, the Constitution people, because they're these people that then they've fallen for the narrative that because their parents, their grandparents had sex in a certain place and they just happen to be born here, that they have more rights than somebody that was born somewhere else. And I have a real big issue with that. I'm real big into human rights, world rights, you know. I don't, the whole Constitution, America bullshit, like, once you start really breaking it all down, it's not even real. So today before I went live, I almost went live, but I was too busy. But on one of the channels, The Universe is playing, and it's you know, I think that's, I'm not sure what that if that was the name of the program, but they're essentially talking about how the Big Bang created the universe, and it was stupidity, utter stupidity. I'm literally watching it. I watch these types of things, and I read the official narrative and stuff like that, sort of waiting to feel like an idiot, right? Because I don't believe the narrative. I don't believe what I'm told, and what I believe is supposedly the crazy. Like, I believe the Earth isn't round and space is all bullshit. That I think it's all bullshit, and I welcome the conversation on any level. You know, go ahead, like whatever you can bring to the table, do that, because I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about your arguments. But I watch these shows waiting for something to happen to make me look and feel stupid, and it just never fucking happens. It's the crazy. As a matter of fact, the more I watch, the dumber it all is. I find myself thinking, like, seriously, how does anyone fall for this? How does anyone, like, I feel dumb. I feel like almost foolish that I know I used to fall for it all. I used to be real big into science and space and all that narrative that they give us, the whole Big Bang narrative, like all of it, because strictly because I absolutely think religion is total bullshit nonsense. So that's how it's supposed to work. It's a lesser of two evils kind of thing. Just like our elections and all that bullshit. You know, I almost willing to believe anything as long as it's not God created it and, you know, all the bullshit associated with that. And so, unfortunately, I absolutely believe that stuff. And now when I see it being presented to me, and I see the different TV shows and all that, then I just feel like such a dumbass. How could I have ever fallen for such stupidity? But there was no other option for me. You know, I had heard that some people thought the earth was flat, but there was no reason why. The reason why they thought the earth was flat is because they were kooks. That was like the scientific definition. You ask anybody, you know, why do people think the earth is flat? Because they're fucking crazy. And that was sort of all you would get. And it wasn't until, you know, I thought I was smart enough to debunk the argument that I realized I wasn't. But now I watch these shows, and I said to my wife I should go live. And she was like, you should, but I couldn't. But I watched this shit, and I you know, the woman talking about, and if you had a set of binoculars and you looked at the right part of the sky at the very right second, you could see a flash of light with binoculars from a flashlight that originated across the universe from 11 billion light years away. And you just go, you know, what? Like, really? How, you know, or they'll talk about, you know, the gravity. My favorite is the gravity waves. When this or that happens, there's so I talk about this a lot, but like the gravity wave machine. How do you build a gravity wave detector when you don't know if gravity waves are even real? How do you detect something you didn't know existed? But the whole thing is just they're talking about, like, so they say that the Big Bang explodes, right? And as things explode, they go, and something explodes, everything goes out in different directions. And they show the model, and in the model, the Big Bang explodes, but behind the Big Bang, there's already like stars and shit. And with the Big Bang, my question is always the same. It's the same one that I have with religion too. With the Big Bang, was the Big Bang, was the singularity, the everything in the universe condensed down into something smaller than a match head? Was that in the empty warehouse? Like, you know, or did the Big Bang create the warehouse too? The black stuff, the dark matter. Because it's dark matter. You know, the shit they say it's just insane. The dark matter. But the Big Bang, like, if it didn't exist, if there wasn't the thing that was already there, it had to be in the place, right? And it's the same thing with God. Like, what was there before God? What created God? And did God just appear in the empty universe and start sneezing out stars and shit? Or did God appear in there was a nothing. There was nothing here, and then God appeared and was like, okay, now there's all this black shit. It's like Bob Ross. He's like, today I started off by painting this black. Because as you know, thinner paints will always stick to thicker paints. Everybody knows that. I don't know, man. I look at all of it like it's broken. You know, it's just that's how I look at it anymore. It's all this chat GPT nonsense. I don't know if you guys watch My Lunch Break, right? I don't know how many My Lunch Break fans there are. It's a fucking phenomenal channel. Really phenomenal. This guy is doing an amazing job in breaking down the official narrative. And to me, that's what I love about that dude. Is it's like he took a page out of my book. You know, I've been saying this forever. The key is to read what they want you to read. It's one thing to sit here and make up shit and go from the conspiracy platform and, oh, I watched Alex Jones's video and Alex Jones's video confirmed all, like, it's all. But when you watch and read and learn from what they want you to know, I mean, when you look at the My Lunch Break thing, and you know he's showing you how they use the same. To me, the addition of ChatGPT completely makes sense to me, and you know, I now I can explain it, because before it used to be, you know, the rich Jews, the little rich Jews sitting around trying to write out history. But now you realize that would have taken forever. But now when you say these little rich Jews who didn't, like a great example of it, and I say this a lot for anybody that's been here, right? The whole 1871 to 1875, one of the biggest losers in all of history, and yet you have these idiot Southern, you know, racists rocking their Confederate flags and shit. It's not about racism. Oh yeah, well, tell me something else that flag stood for. But you read these narratives about war, and you hear that, like, it wasn't until the Vietnam War that guerrilla warfare tactics were first used, and the Native Americans used guerrilla warfare tactics, but it really wasn't the same because they were so basic. But you see this narrative that us, Western society, white people, I'm not white fully, but white people, I mean, our history is white history. It's pretty simple. It's fucking goofy, right? But you see this narrative that says the commander would say, really interesting how this is working. Only 1% of the population was rich and powerful enough to own slaves. So somehow you have the South, these Southern rich plantation owning Jew assholes who somehow convince all these mountain folk who just want to make a living for themselves. They convince all these mountain folk to leave their lives behind and come basically die for a cause that they don't even benefit from. And so all these mountain folk, they're somehow now joined into the Confederacy, and you know, somehow they all have uniforms made, and like again, think about this. How long would it take to sew a bunch of uniforms by hand back in this day? How did they get all the materials? How did they Did they measure people? Like, how did they know how to make all these uniforms for all these men back then? What machine was in place to produce the uniforms for all of the soldiers? In the South, that was, on the losing end of it from the beginning. But you have this narrative that the South, and this happened on both sides, really. The general, the whatever he is, the captain. All right, 1st Battalion, line up. So all the men line up. We've seen this in so many different movies. I mean, you guys can picture exactly what I'm saying. If I say Civil War battlefield, I don't even have to explain it. You guys can see it. You have all the gray side all lined up in a row, and then they're gonna go at the blue side, and they're gonna fight in the middle, which is just stupid. But when they're like taking a fort, one of these magical star forts that they just knew how to build back then, and in record time, they're gonna take. So they stand in a line and they run to 1st Battalion, go, and they run, and a musket round. They take 5. You gotta load that shit every time you shoot it. Pour your little powder. Load it. You get 1 shot. It's so bad they put a knife on the end of it so you can fucking at least fight. Right? This is what we're told. And now they all run out. And if they're taking the fort, then they all get mowed down. Bang, 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 bang. They even had the Gatling guns where they could turn the shit, whatever. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't know. But they have all this crazy shit, and all the battalion gets wiped out. 1st Battalion, wiped out. All right, 2nd Battalion. You don't think 2nd Battalion's like, hey, that didn't work out for the 1st Battalion. But we want to follow orders, so okay, we'll go. So then they go out. 2nd Battalion goes, get one. Don't you think by the 5th Battalion, 6th Battalion, they're going to be like, hey, no. Come on, man. They have to run out of ammunition at some point. Like, that's the whole fucking plan. That one side will run out of ammunition before the other. Oh, sorry about that. Oh, look, and I lost my viewer. My one viewer that was still here. The Constitution. It's all fake. Our narrative, our everything is fake. ChatGPT, fake bullshit. Fucked my video up. It's interesting. Like it's so much more effective when you educate yourself, or at least, like I think again, what My Lunch Break does is really effective because he reads it to you, reading the narrative that you're supposed to regurgitate through adult eyes. That narrative that you saw as a high schooler that you had to regurgitate, you had to do reports, you had to do, you had to give presentations or whatever. When you were forced to do it, it's so much less of, I wouldn't say effective, it's more effective then, but it's, when you do it on your own, when you learn on your own, and you're not being made to do it. You're choosing to do this. You're saying, I'm going to take my time to do this. It's different. And the thing is, as an adult, I'm allowed to be skeptical. When I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to be skeptical of the history I was given. Regurgitate or you don't get paid. And I got paid in freedom when I was a kid, right? If you don't get good grades, then you lose your freedom. You can't go outside. You can't play your video games. You can't do what you want to do. So the only way you get good grades is by regurgitating. It's made that way. And so you see this scenario where, like, when you read history, like when I read Wikipedia, right? Hang on. Sorry. When you read Wikipedia, you see that it's presented to you in book report form. I just find this so fascinating. Like, when you look at the details of things, you'll see that you're given a whole shit ton of nothing details that don't matter. But they convince your brain that you're getting details, so then when you leave the conversation, or you leave the whatever it is, the exercise, you remember bits and pieces, but you remember that there were actually a lot of details. The problem is, those details, they're just stupid. It's like, you know, why or how they came up with this idea, or, you know, it's like I think all of you, I'm going to talk about the linotype machine, Linotype, linotype. The linotype machine, in my opinion, is probably the greatest invention. Like, it's one of the top 3 most important inventions of the 1800s. And that's a pretty lofty claim. That's a bold claim, right? There's a lot that comes out of the 1800s. It's a top 3 invention of the 1800s, top 3 machine of the 1900s. And none of you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Nobody. Sorry, I'm handling business. The linotype machine is it's amazing. I wish I could sit here and you know, I could be like, oh, okay, I want to know what you guys think it is. If anybody knows what it is, please, you tell me what you think it is, and we'll see who actually knows their history. We'll see who knows, you know, truth about anything, right? But you you see this well, I keep saying it because I got cops here. I wish if somebody knew, they would step up and be like, oh, the line. But the thing is, that's the crazy part about it, is nobody knows what it is, and it's one of the most important inventions in all of history. And the linotype machine is the reason why we have magazines and newspapers for all of the 18 and 1900s up until like I think they say the 80s, when things started to get switched into the digital format. But the linotype machine is why we had newspapers. If that's not fucking crazy to you, I and that you don't know that you've never heard that before. You've never heard of this amazing technology that is the reason why how we were manipulated for, most of history. Most of history is the linotype. It's crazy. Cop just totally ran the red light. Look at that shit. He totally just ran that red light. It's a weird day. But so so you'll see this just everywhere. You'll see this version of history where, like I say, if you had to do a book report, this is perfect. This is, any kid, anybody, because they know Guy Williams is going to look. Oh yeah, linotype. Sorry, the linotype machine is it's like a mini foundry. Like when you look up I challenge you guys. You might think I'm crazy. Look up linotype, LINOTYPE, linotype machine, and just be like just try to wrap your head around it. So it's called linotype because it's a line O type. So each line in the newspaper is one line. So what this machine did was created these little metal, what they called slugs. A metal slug that had each line of type on it. So you would create a slug for the top line, a slug for the next line, a slug for the next line. And then they would run the paper over all these slugs. And then the slugs would get fed back into the machine, which would liquefy this metal so it could be reused for the next round of slugs. These machines are little mini foundries that are taking metal, turning it hot. I mean, how else do you liquefy metal? Liquid metal, forming solid metal, and then turning that back into metal again. And when you look up the history of it, you'll find that these two guys that were in the industry, in the publishing industry, so they were probably Jews. Oh Jesus! Almost ran over a squirrel. They approach a German clockmaker saying that they need a new way to be able to do this in like the 1880 or something. And the narrative goes, after a few experiments, a prototype was created that showed this idea was possible. And after a few modifications, the linotype machine, as it was then pretty much used and unchanged for the next 100 years. Old world building right there. You see that shit? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I wish I would have seen it earlier. Old world buildings. So we're in an area where there's going to be a lot of old world buildings. But you think about like so the thing didn't exist, and then it didn't exist in 1880. A prototype is made. The yada yada. The prototype is made, and the thing is, you can't find more history on it. You say, "Oh, you looked up Wikipedia." Yeah, but I looked up Google. I searched it and hoped anything would come up. You'd think like his biography or, the guy that made it, his biography, nothing. There's no, I mean, yeah, the same narrative, the same Chat GPT copy and paste narrative will be found on multiple different places. Literal copy and pasted sections of paragraphs and whatnot. But how did this guy, this German clockmaker, how did he come up with this, and how did it even fucking work? Good luck. And apparently, places like the New York Times and shit, like, haven't you ever wondered how Old World made newspapers? I mean, it's really fascinating when you think about, like, that's just wild shit, man. You're putting together these. You have enough materials to put together papers, to ink and all that, and you're running daily newspapers in the 1800s. They get delivered to the little boys who then sell them on the corners. Like, what? That's some wild, creepy shit. Jesus, there's a lot of train tracks. Oh, it's weird. Not very many places you can go over that many train tracks at once. Holy shit. This dude said he had a mini stroke the other day. Fucking crazy. That shit could happen to any of us. That's so scary. It's also terrifying. Life is such a cruel ass joke. Here, have these children that you get to do nothing but worry about. Here, have this fragile body that's gonna fall apart on you. Fall in love with a person that's gonna die. Like, fuck, man. I'm gonna be such a dick about everything. Alright, what am I doing here? Alright guys, I'll be back. Oh look, I actually stayed connected. That's really weird. Oh, selling cards is so much fun. Selling cards is so much fun. I'm done.